bull charting and strategies. So for technical analysis. Now, I think that this is going to be an awesome show and also educational. That's why we're here. We're here to educate and explain different charting techniques, strategies, but especially in the crypto space. I always see this. I always go into these communities and it's always like, there's a bull pattern forming. Like, look at the 1 minute chart. Look at the 4-hour chart, right?
Chart, like, oh my God.
Right? But we see that all the time. I see it constantly in the crypto space. So I have some questions. We're going to bring things back and ask basic questions. You know, are bull patterns available in the crypto market or just the stock market or equities? Or are there different types of bull patterns? Right? We didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. I'll admit it. I didn't know that. There's different types of bull patterns.
There's a lot of different types of patterns.
Exactly. So we're going to get into that. And then we're going to have our live market talk segment towards the end. And I got to also give credit to Will because we've been spot on every single time. Yeah, like a perfect track record. Everybody can go back to the other videos and they can see it all. It's there. You've got it. So as always, though, before we start, I'm going to show the disclaimer and then we'll be back in a bit. So let's get ready to learn some stuff, especially bull patterns. We want that. See you guys in a bit.
See you guys back in a sec.
Okay, so Will, we're going to be talking about bull patterns.
Yeah. So
now, I guess the big question though is, how does this apply to the crypto space? Or is that even true? I mean, do bull patterns work here?
There are definitely bull patterns and bear patterns. They are on both sides of the coin. And if you take a step back and see how is it that something like that would even exist in the chart, you have to see it from the side of a market being composed of buyers and sellers. So there's always people with the opinion that I should sell this asset and people with the opinion that I should buy this asset. It's this constant tug of war, right?
Yep.
So as this tug of war gets stronger on one side, it eventually pulls it in that direction. But it's usually not immediate. There usually isn't a consensus, especially when you distribute the total amount of information across all people. Everybody trading a particular market has access to different amounts of information. And this is why it's not perfect. Like if everybody knew everything, the price would immediately go to the target that, you know, would be priced in. Like that would be the perfectly efficient market, right? But markets are not efficient because of this reason alone, right? You have people with a lot of money that don't have a lot of information, and people that have a lot of information that don't have a lot of money, right? For that reason alone, it can't be efficient. And this is the source of all the different patterns that evolve in charts.
Okay. Now, also, I guess even before we start showing some examples, that there's many different types of trading signal strategies, right? I mean, a bull pattern is just one of many. And we also then have the opposite, which is then a bear pattern, right? Which we could get into. But first, these bull patterns, and I'll say this again because I see it constantly across communities. Everybody's just always seeing bull pattern, or triangles. They start drawing out all this kind of stuff.
Well, it's important
to these even accurate,
too, right? So there's recognition of the pattern, and secondly, how to trade it correctly, right? So most people get both wrong, right? You got to get both right to profit and actually have a consistent alpha over time.
True. Well, it goes back to having experience, understanding, and being like in the rhythm and knowing that this is in fact turning into like a full blown, again, pattern, right? And understanding that and when to take action on it. But one big question that I personally also have, and we're gonna share images, right? So we have that.
Yeah.
Okay. But one big question is in the crypto space, especially, we have extremely low cap, market cap projects. Then you have like mid cap or even other low cap, right? You have like the gems, ultra freaking low. You have mid cap, and then you have high cap projects. The low cap ones are, I think, even more volatile than the others, right? Because you could just have people buying, selling. That chart's going ballistic all the time. So do you think that bull patterns can actually be applied to all of them, like across the board, or only really for like the large cap, mid caps? Like, should we even apply like bull flags to these little tiny ones?
Depends on the circumstance. There's really, market cap is only one piece of the puzzle when you analyze the viability of certain informational patterns, like chart patterns, like bull and bear flags, or informational distribution patterns. Really, you want to see a combination of market cap and trading volume. In a coin or token that has very low volume and very low market cap, it is very hard for any sort of pattern to evolve, because literally one person can just push the price in the direction they want, right?
It's true.
So,
Yep. Yeah, well, that's also the interesting part with some of these low cap projects, and also just based on liquidity, right? So, as an example, let's just say that there's low liquidity and somebody buys like $500 or like $1,000. That's going to bring up like a big green candle, right? It's going to be a big uptick. And then sometimes others will then buy from that, or bots actually, right? So these automated bots, and you'll actually start to see like, and we'll get into this, like the flag pole, like it's going up, and then little tiny like upticks, right? And then out of nowhere somebody sells. It's like, so was that, that's not a legitimate like bull flag formation. That's somebody that's just buying or accumulating, and then other stuff just happens.
So smart money, what they'll do is they will buy over time. They'll accumulate a position over a period of time, knowing that slippage is a big problem, especially in low volume markets, right? So they'll be buying every day, or like every hour, or something like that, on a cadence, right? So it's a form of DCA, but it's time based, not price based.
Sure.
And then at some point, when information disperses where everybody pumps it, then they sell their position in a similar way, where they're sell. So they allow the price to rise as they sell, because they realize that if they sold their entire bag in one shot, it would just completely erase that market, right?
Yep. We've all seen that one plenty of times too in this space. You'll have a whale or somebody that just decides to unload. But the beauty of those moments is, one, being at your computer when that happens, and then two, actually seeing the wave, I guess, from that activity, right? Sometimes I've seen whales literally sell and like dump everything, which would then actually cause like a bull rally. As weird as that sounds, I've actually seen that. You'll see like all these bots, the people come in, like they start buying, actually push the price up higher than it was before the actual sell-off.
This actually has happened in my own token before. And let me explain the physics of how that plays out, right? Whale dumps it. The first traders to arrive and see that are bots, always.
Sure.
There's two types of bots. There's bots that seek to accumulate the anchor currency or base currency. And there's bots that seek to accumulate the quote currency, which is the actual token itself, or trend following, these types of things. So they're either going to buy low and sell high, or they're going to buy into a trend and then sell as the trend finishes, if that makes sense. There's kind of two different mentalities of this.
Bro, so the bots are preset with a preset like percent gain, right? So again, there's bots. You just said I want a 5% ROI every time. It's going to buy and sell no matter what. Doesn't matter if it goes 20%, 30%. It took its action at 5%. It did its job.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's many different strategies, right? I could talk all day about that, but generally, the first bots that step in are the bots that seek to accumulate the base currency. So they'll buy the dip, then sell that at a profit. Then that will reverse the trend because they just pumped it back up. And then the trend following bots will jump in, and as well as regular investors and traders will jump in too, because they'll see that bottom price was respected and it came back up, and they'll see that as a bull flag, right? So the bull flag usually starts with bots. Usually it's either insiders and bots kind of both are trading it, it creates the flag. And then retail traders jump in, they buy the flag, and then it causes a breakout to the upside from the flag.
Okay.
That's usually how, and similar for bear patterns, right? Bear flag.
Let's pull up some of these examples. So let's pull up some bull flag formations.
Yeah.
Now, in the crypto space, that's just where we're at. And I guess also just with these these low cap projects, there's so many times when a bull flag pattern might be organic, it might be legitimate, right? And it'll go, but then it always then comes right back down though. So
yeah, and this is
like the weirdest thing though, right? It's like a weird fallacy.
Flag. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just always find that weird and you see it happening, right? Like this is without them getting like a project getting onto an exchange, without any kind of marketing. It's organic. It's nice. It's to see that, and then all of a sudden, it just gets like annihilated, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes a bull flag doesn't always necessarily mean it's going to the moon. It's going to crazy new highs. Somebody could always just step in and just crush those dreams.
Well, it happens even with the highest cap projects, right? With things like Bitcoin, there's famous bull and bear flags in Bitcoin, famous ones. After I got into crypto originally, when I got into crypto, I rode this bull run all the way up. This is 2016, 2017.
350?
Right? Huh?
At like the 350 range?
I don't think I bought Bitcoin at 350. I bought Bitcoin around, where did I buy it? It was like in here. I bought it around like 2,500.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was around 20. Yeah.
Still a long ways off. So now we're at like 47 today, which we're going to get into the market talk later on. I mean, it's still a big difference.
So you remember, those who were around at the time all thought that this was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's going to hit 25 and 30 and 35, and you can there's always going to be, most people are just going to see the trend continuing, and they'll go at length explaining why the trend is going to keep going up. The ones that are very good at a real analysis of markets are the ones that can see reversals. So I sold this top of Bitcoin. I saw this reversal, and this was when I began, during this bear run of 2018, was when I began creating the beginnings of fate, because I had this huge bag of stable coins, which I was like, what do I do with this now? Right.
Well, let's go. So right before that pivot, let's go to the left. So where do you, so look, again, I'm here to just dumb things down. I'm here to be like, I'm looking at this chart, and honestly, so this is my opinion. So just zoom out like a little bit. All right. So now let's bring it, like center it a bit. All right. So we're right here. This is perfect. If I'm looking at your chart, right, I'm seeing bull flag, bull flag, bull flag, bull flag, bull flag. I'm seeing a whole bunch of these things. Is there one in particular that just said this thing's going, or does that not apply? Does that make sense? Somebody that's just coming into the space, and because we could see two actual like larger reversals. Actually, it happens. It goes up, then it comes back.
I remember this one in July. This was painful when this happened.
Yes, but so you have that. Right, so that's one, then to the right 2, 3, and then it goes right. And ironically, that's the third time's a charm. Remember, we talked about in the other video.
And this goes back to Elliott waves, which you can discuss in a separate episode.
So before that one, though, before that first one, go back and so back a little bit to the left. Down. No. Go back.
Right?
No. So I'm gonna watch. So go to the first uptick. No, you're already there.
This one? I don't know which one you're talking about.
So right where your cursor is, a little bit to the right, and then down.
This one?
Right there, a little bit to the left. That is basically when the whole thing looks like it actually started. It's not that green line, and from that moment, it just kept going up from there.
That's the log trend line, which I talked about many times before. That's that same log trend line that we touched recently, and I kept saying, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. Remember?
But that mark, that point, is that, can you say that that's the official originator of like the ultimate bull flag? Does that make sense?
No, it actually was earlier.
Okay.
So
Well, yeah,
let's
that's what I
go
want
back
to
to
see.
2016.
Okay.
We had this dump in 2015 after the halving. You may or may not be aware that halvings usually have these price run-ups following them, but this one has a dump because this news about the halving was coming up in 2015, and then it was kind of dump the news type stuff, right? But then afterwards, we had the run-up where it literally went from $500 per Bitcoin to $18,000 per Bitcoin.
Yep.
But this was the first kind of bull flag in here.
And interestingly enough, it's below the trend line, which I find interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So if we point out that actual bull flag as to how it formed, I guess, or started.
So we'll start from context here. This was a bear flag, right?
Okay.
So there's a run up before the halving, then it created a bear flag with this floor here, right? This was like a price support. It dumped under, it came back up, then it came down, then it came down. And then what happened here was the volume just disappeared. There was just no trading volume. It just went sideways. And all it took was like a little tap and it dumped. Right? That's your typical bear flag formation. And
it dumped all the way to 460, 425.
Yeah, they usually look like this. It's kind of a triangle like that. Mm-hmm. And then it'll dump down. This dump was bought up because it hit this supporting price down here. And then we came up into this original bull flag in October of 2016. Okay. So you'll see here that this ran up against this price support, became a price resistance, tried to break out here, came down, but everybody was buying this dip up, tried to break out again, dipped a little bit, and then it was immediately bought up. And then this was the breakout, and this is where you buy at a bull flag. Don't buy it in here. Don't buy it in here because you don't know if it's going to actually break through this resistance. This wasn't known at the time, right? This is how you trade a bull flag. You buy the breakout because there's an idea of survivor bias. You look at these things historically and say, well, I would have bought it down here because I would have known. But there's many patterns that look like they're becoming bull flags and they break to the downside. And that happens equally as much. It's just that when you look at them historically, they just look like a pop up and then a dump down. And you're like, oh, well, I wouldn't have bought that. Well, but it, at the time looked like a bull flag and then it just was rejected. But you'll see here, these bull flags they'll start bull runs and then you'll see them get more and more aggressive, right?
Yeah,
another bull flag there.
Yeah. So that original pennant actually bursts through the ceiling. And so it just keeps flying from there. But then you do have that huge sell-off, another sell-off, another dip, and that just keeps going.
Yep. And then we have this. This one was clearly overextended. This was a statistical arbitrage because it went way too high, way too fast. Sold off and then rebought because at this point in time, the whole structure was bullish. Like it was clear that they were in a bull market, so people are obviously going to buy this back up. Happened again. And then this created an upward channel. So this is a different type of pattern.
Yeah.
Right. So I know we're not really talking about that this time, but this is what you call, where the tool is here. Basically, I'll just draw these manually. Bullish ascending channel here where we touched, but there was a higher low involved. And because this higher low was respected and it came back up here, then when you can break, by this region and then expect it to go up further from ascending channel, right? Because you would draw this kind of here. Then everybody was buying this.
And then it was just sent right out. Yep.
Comes up here. And this was a deal, right? So when it came down here, I remember when this happened. I was actually in the market at this point. It touched the top from this old channel. I remember this. And then everybody bought it. You see how violently it came back up here, right? And then it created yet another bull flag here. right? Bull flag. By the breakout of the bull flag. Look how violent that breakout was. Straight up again.
What's amazing is the actual time period in which this all happens. I mean, that's like we're talking like days, right?
Mm-hmm. So look at this. I want you to see this. This was also a bull flag, but you see it popped up and then just got rejected.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the false breakout, as people say. You would have bought it here, and it would come up a little bit, but then it just was sold off. Right. And that's a really difficult one to trade. So this is why you kind of need stop losses. If you bought here, then your stop loss should be somewhere right under where this bull flag started, right? So you would have sold probably right around here, right? And that would have been the correct call because this continued downward.
Yeah, well, the funny thing with this aspect, though, and I'm just also looking at like the timeline of that. So this is like late August, and then it's September. It starts to go down, but then midway into September, look what happens. It shoots back up. So if you don't actively have, I mean, you could have your stop loss, right? So that's how it takes you out. But then if you don't have your buy order or anything in there, then you would then miss out on the next rally going back.
Yep. Exactly. You need to be watching the market or have orders in place with stop losses. Bull flag here, right? Breaks to the upside, continues upward. Now let's look at the top. I mean, I can draw this over and over and over again. Ultimate capitulation of Bitcoin here, December of 2017.
Yep, good times. I remember everybody just getting depressed over that one. It's going to 30. I mean, it's going like the 40, 50, and came right back down.
Yep, but this was a form of very, very bullish bull flag, right? This ascending wedge is the most bullish form of bull flag, right?
Okay.
And this is why I tell you to buy the breakout, because this never fully broke out from this final ascending wedge.
Yep.
If it had broken up here, it would have gone
kept going.
Way up here, but it didn't. It was rejected. So these people never bought. That had buy orders up here. They never bought. And then this is when CME introduced futures and just crushed it because everybody on Wall Street is waiting to short it.
Yep.
Right.
Interesting timing. That was definitely an insider type deal, or for those that were in the know.
So the interesting thing that I never really looked through after this whole thing played out was the Bitcoin the CME must have purchased in order to create the futures market for it probably was back here.
So you think that was part of the run-up?
I'm curious if one of these dumps was them acquiring. Like this might have been the CME here buying it. This might have been the CME buying it to create the futures market.
Yeah, they had to accumulate it for sure.
Yeah, and we'll never know for sure, right? Because they'll never disclose that when they bought it.
Nope. Okay.
That's interesting. So now we're in a bear market at this point. We rejected this. We created a sideways pattern, which is a rectangle. This is called a rectangle pattern. It's a kind of sideways channel. And then this breaks to the downside.
Just kept going through support. Yeah.
And ultimately, it starts to create this idea of a bear wedge, right? Let me find an example of how that plays out here. So we even have it just right here.
Still, honestly, even from my point of view, just looking at the charts, whenever you just see like a huge uptick, is that still safe to say that that's like a bull flag? I mean, sometimes you just have these accumulation zones where it just like pops up, but then obviously then it comes right back down again. So,
well, this what this was, right? We all thought like this dump was over, and then we were going to continue this bull run around February of 2018, right?
Yep.
And then it looked like it was forming a bull flag here, but it just never broke out. We had a double top. This is called a double top.
So one of the big takeaways from this, and especially just applying towards the bull patterns or and also a strategy for this, don't buy at the top of the chart, right? Whenever you see like a huge gain, it's always best for patience, like to just hold back, wait, right? And then, as you're saying, to then see if there's an actual breakthrough. And that's actually where you have your buy order then set, right? So then for that to be triggered.
Yeah, this is why, I mean, you want to conserve your capital, right? So you don't know that this pattern is going to go up or down at this point.
Yep.
It's quite possible that we had an upside breakout here that continued this bull run in 2018, right? But that never happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you would have done is buy the breakout above this resistance, because if you're wrong and you're buying here to try to like DCA in and bring your cost basis down, then what did you do? Now you're at a loss. Now your bag down here.
You need more cash to buy at a lower price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is for the purposes of people who at the time were trading to gain fiat value. So they were using Bitcoin as a market to gain fiat, right? So most people trading at this time didn't really care if they were acquiring Bitcoin. They mostly cared about acquiring fiat and utilizing Bitcoin as a way to do that. And this is how people trade most markets and equities too. They trade shares of companies to acquire fiat. They don't trade shares of companies to acquire more shares of that company usually.
True. So that actually brings me up to this. So Flourishing AI, you guys actually have a portfolio manager by Fate. And an interesting anchor mode with this are actually two options. You can do cash, right? Or BTC.
And this is why we offer this as an option, because now there's people who want to acquire fiat. There's people who want to acquire Bitcoin. There's people who want to acquire Ethereum or BNB.
But what I find interesting is that for those that believe in the crypto space, this is an outreach. If you guys believe in the space in the long run, you know where it's going. That's all I have to say. That's just my opinion. You know where it's going. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. If you're a trader, then yes, you're gonna play the game. But what I like about Flourishing AI and this portfolio management aspect with Fate is the anchor mode of actual BTC. So again, you believe in the crypto space, you believe BTC is going to keep going up, but Fate is trading BTC to then accumulate more of it. So when BTC goes up like 10%, Fate was trading it for you, but that 10% is actually, she's getting upwards of like 20%. she's beating everything. So that's like the kicker right there. That's amazing. So you're not just holding your BTC in like a cold storage or a vault, which I suggest you to do, but she's trading it. She's helping you accumulate more.
Yeah, and this is the awesome thing about Faith, is that she's able to think both ways, and you can switch her in real time, and she'll rebase all of her trades. So let's say that she's using a Ethereum to acquire Bitcoin, right? We have her in BTC anchor mode. We're going to use the BTC to ETH market pair to acquire more BTC. But then you change your mind and you say, well, I actually need cash. I want to acquire cash. You can switch it in real time, and then she will rebase that trade and recalculate all of the cost basis and now do the fiat to ETH market to acquire more fiat, and then sell your Bitcoin to fiat and then use that to gain. It'll keep going, right? It'll just use that trade, redo all the cost bases, and then keep going to Ethereum just to fiat instead.
I got to ask. The screen behind you, is that actual Fate doing her thing behind you? It's looking like the Matrix right now. I see like the green like data running. Is that her or no?
This is real-time swaps coming in on the blockchain. So this is the actual mempool from our node, and it's actually every swap on every market on the BSC blockchain coming in real time right now.
So no matter what token it is, that's Binance Smart Chain, like their blockchain right there live.
Yeah, so I'm playing around with some more monitoring tools around monitoring the blockchain. So I can see here, WBNB Doge, there is a sell for 0.02 WBNB right now, C98, SFP, USDC ETH.
So I know this is getting off topic, and then I'm also just cognizant of the time. I want to get into the market talk, but can someone like me actually see that data somewhere?
It's a lot. We'll try to figure out a way to transform it to human readable form.
No, but like that, I don't have access to something like that. Like I wouldn't be able to see that. Like I can't, like PancakeSwap doesn't have, I believe they don't have something like that, right? Like the most recent.
No. No, I mean, you have to run your own node to even be able to process this, honestly, which we have. So.
And wouldn't traders want to have access to that? Because ultimately that's what Fate has, right? So
yeah, so we're working
Fate,
on
you know that.
we have a lot of blockchain inputs for our algorithm. And so we're working through this, like monitoring the mempool, all the swaps and transfers going in on the mempool and where they're going to get better tracking of where money is moving specifically in certain markets. And this is one of the kind of areas of active research that we're doing right now for Fate.
Okay. Yeah, it's just looking like the Matrix.
It kind of is. It kind of is the Matrix, right?
Yeah. All right. I know we had said 30 minutes. We're actually, ironically, at that part. But I also just always have the belief education is important. For those that have questions about bull patterns, bear patterns, leave a comment below and let us know what else you would want us to go over. We're here. Again, I like playing the student role because I have a lot to learn. I always feel like we always have to learn something. And I don't know. I think I kind of have a weird perspective with things. I'll be blunt. I'll be like, I don't know what the hell this is. You got to tell me. I want to learn about it. But I do want to know about the market. And from the beginning of the video, as I mentioned, you've been accurate literally every single time. And I hope people that are watching understand that. And I hope that they're hitting the subscribe button, that they're following us, that they're joining the Flourishing AI Telegram group, following you guys on Twitter. I know you yourself, you started coming out on Twitter yourself with your personal accounts, right? So you're starting to share more information. I don't know why people wouldn't follow you. I mean, you're a real person, not like the cartoon dude saying, bull, this is going crazy. You guys actually have real, accurate, legitimate information. So I appreciate it.
I'm not a hype man. I'm a data guy, as you know. So I'm super powered with all of this data and all this research. And I have a team of people behind me. And we're doing the hard stuff to actually get a real analysis, not a hype thing.
I'd be curious to know how many traders actually are actually running their own nodes.
I don't think any of them are, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. Think about that. All right. Do you think we could get like 5-10 minutes max? I'll watch the time to just go over some market talk because we could show what BTC is doing. It's kind of going sideways now, although it had a nice uptick for this week.
Yeah, we'll go over real quick here since
I'm also surprised BNB was at like 440 or so. I believe it was Avalanche when you said if that hits, was it Avalanche? You said the $100 mark? Was that
ultimate bear market? Oh my God, this is the ultimate bear flag. See what this whole thing where it kept bouncing. Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk about them more later.
That doesn't apply to now. Yeah.
As I told you, like buy it. This was like so many videos of ours, right?
Very true.
And most recently I said, we're going to come up here and then we're going to come back down and keep bouncing off of this support line and then continue upward.
Well, so that's just to kind of pull things together, the bull pattern is right below that resistance, right? And then you, again, just reiterating from before, once we surpassed that line, the buys just continued to push it up higher. And then you had another ceiling, which then further broke out to then send it up even higher, right?
Yeah. So this was people reading this as one bull flag here, right? And then they bought the breakout. And that's why this tall candle happened. This was everybody buying the breakout of this resistance line.
Yep.
So now,
ironically, and I know, well, actually, I'll get your opinion on this. The news in general, and to get aside from politics and all that, the news has kind of been like blah. Honestly, it has, right? There wasn't too much positive talk, but this week, like you're seeing, boom, 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 like all this stuff is coming up.
This is one of the things how I know crypto is in another bull run. This is how I know the bull run is starting, is that it's in the news. IDOs are coming out again and they're being promoted. I'm getting people pinging me constantly to list my token on various exchanges. Deals are starting to come in. People are starting to approach me for different types of interesting deals and things like that. This is how I know from the back end, like from a fundamentals perspective, that, it's like when we go into a crypto winter, it's like everybody hibernates, They all walk away, and then they're like, they just disappear. And then when the winter is over, they leave their hibernation. Huh?
Yeah. Like now they're starting the engines, right? Like the engines are warming up. They're like getting things kind of ready to go.
Yep.
But that's what I'm getting at. There's the chart aspect of it, but then also just pay attention to like, so even the influencers, I'm going to use that word loosely, they're all back on Twitter. I love that part. Like it's so quiet, and all of a sudden, because I have notifications set, like, yo, I haven't heard anything from you in like a month, and now all of a sudden you're back chatting away.
Yeah.
Those are other indicators. I always thought that those are kind of funny.
Even the use case of people interested in fate itself, right? People, when they get scared, like in January when all the markets were dumping, and it was like all this like FUD, like the news was full of FUD. People, they just all walked away en masse.
That's it.
And they just wanted to have cash under their bed, and eventually the news became more positive, and they came back, right?
Yeah. All right, so we're warming up. Engines are up. We could see, just based on before, various bull patterns, right? And the breakthroughs of those ceilings and then further buys. And looking at your chart now, yes, there's going to come back down a bit, but then that's the new support line, right?
Now this is a support.
Now, if that's, because we like to talk both ways, right? So if that support line breaks, we do, however, still have that trend line, right? So theoretically, we would still most likely be above that. But we also have that other yellow line, which is at another support level, right? So we don't necessarily expect it to just go below two support levels, I guess, right? Or then let's
say that. I mean, typically what you'll see is this will be a correlated dump, like equities and Bitcoin will dump together. This is usually the case. In that scenario, what happens is we would have this, and then it, breaks under here, but it doesn't really go under this yellow line. It kind of comes up here and it creates this, because it's not going to go to this low. It's not going to go to this low. It's not going to go to this low. It's going to create this kind of ascending bottom that's parallel with this log trend line.
And sometimes that ironically could make it stronger per se, or?
Yeah. I mean, it'll just be yet another confirmation that this is the bottom price that everybody should buy at. So typically the more confirmations a bottom of a price support is, the less likely it is to ever hit that price again, because people will try to buy it before it hits that price, knowing that that's already the bottom, right?
And we already saw that actually happen 3 other times. So
yeah,
we got the executive order, the Russia bank sanction, and then to the left, the other third point.
So this one was
should be done.
Oh, this is the July gap, and this is a whole other topic to talk about GBTC.
Okay. So relatively, I mean, everything's looking juicy. It's going back.
Yeah, and look at this down here, stablecoin demand. It keeps coming up to the buy zone. This, as I said before, people sell stablecoins when they're buying Bitcoin. Stablecoins to Bitcoin is a market pair, so you have to sell one to buy the other. So if you're paired Tether to Bitcoin, you're selling Tether to buy Bitcoin, which will then bring the price of Tether temporarily less than $1. That's what this bottom graph is showing. This is a whole bunch of different stable coins.
Okay.
And you see when their price dips down, it's bullish. You can kind of see the vertical bar here where
you can see the wicks.
You see how the price action for Bitcoin is going up as these prices go down. These are all very bullish signs here. Happened here. And then we had this huge pump, right?
All right, so your charts, it looks like we're going back towards, so it's going to be heading over 50,000. That's the next bump up, I guess.
This is a natural resistance, a little bit above. I mean, this is a Fibonacci 618, and this is actually above 50K.
So I think let's go over that for next week, Fibonacci style. That's a good topic. Let's do that one.
Awesome.
All right, so everything's coming back up. I'm happy with that. You can see that across the board, not just in the large caps, mid caps, low caps. Everything's looking green, right, per se. I know we also gave a little bit of an ad before, right? So we had talked about, well, we showed the video with Flourishing. So this is Fate, the portfolio manager, and taking emotions out. I think that's another part I kind of want to reiterate, because you can see these bull patterns forming, but sometimes your emotions can get the best of you and you can FOMO into it too high. And then obviously then it goes down, you can get taken out, which is bad. But Fate, again, she's AI. She's not a bot. We'll make that distinction. She's trading for you, right? And you have the different anchor modes.
And we also have a manual mode now that you can, what will happen is she will say, I think you should enter this trade. And you either confirm or deny it and say, okay, go into this or don't go into this. And we have quite a few people opting for that as well, just to give them some control over it.
Okay. Well, I want to bring this up just at the end. So for those that are interested, again, just getting into technical analysis, and for those that are considered traders, even if you're a trader, go check out Fate and join the Flourishing AI Telegram group, because Fate has these different commands that provides you additional data, such as the data that's actually behind Will right now. So it's part of the node, right? So that's where she's getting information from. It's feeding her. So she's constantly learning, which is kind of, it's really crazy when you think about that. And there's a lot to that. But it's data, your access to data. And the more data you have, the more accurate or better your strategies or stronger that they will become, right?
And Fate will actually tell you the chart patterns too. We automatically detect them. So you can type, if you have Fate in your channel or a private message Fate on Telegram, you can type /I and any coin, any market pair, and she'll tell you the pattern. She'll just straight up tell it to you. So if you're having difficulty reading charts, it's a good tool to have.
I just want to pull it up, and we're going to be, and we'll end it here. But so this is in the Beyond FOMO group. So all I do is IBTC, and right here. And what I love is that it tells you the pattern, right? So patterns here. If it's over resistance, so this is a different token. So this is BTC, BNB, and then ETH. So it's all here. So you don't, again, this is within the group, but you could do this through DM. So you don't have, anybody has to see what you're checking, right? You could keep it yourself. And this information is always being updated, though. That's the other thing. Just because it says that, hold now or hodl now doesn't mean 5-10 minutes from now it's going to change, right? Everything's moving. So this is a cool tool set. And it's also just to start learning about it. This is just take some first steps into the crypto space. Get into it. What was that special announcement? I see a link in here, so special announcement. What was that about?
Wait, do we have time? We're already at 43 mark.
Just do it quick. What was the special announcement?
Which one is it? I get announced so many things lately. It was the
I can actually pull it up. What was this? The buy and burn system. Okay. That's old. You need to update that.
Yes, this one.
That's old already.
We have so many things going on in parallel here. So what we are going to do here, this is already in process. We have so much information from Fate that is widely used in 5,000, currently 5,000 private chats and about, I think it's 450 group channels.
Just like what I just showed. Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to carve it up into kind of basic information and advanced information. To access the advanced information as well as other features that we're still working out here, it'll require you to buy and burn our AI token. And it's part of our tokenomics. We're also buying and burning based off of the revenue as a company. And so all of this is going to remove supply of AI, which, general market theory will make the price go up naturally because
supply demand. It's like the most basic thing, elasticity, everything. Okay. Well, I know, again, we're over our time. I appreciate it. Thank you. Next week, market talk, Fibonacci code, strategies.
There's so many patterns, right? Head and shoulders is another one. That's a really important pattern to know. Fibonacci, Elliott waves. We could go on and on and on. Reading volume profiles. Yeah.
All right. So for those that are watching, again, leave a comment below, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be doing this weekly with the Market Talk segment. I also have a feeling they might kick it up a notch to provide perhaps even more educational videos. I'll do that. So thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Join us within Telegram. And I'll see you again on Friday. We got some more formal material for that.
Yeah. See you soon.
All right. Be in Telegram. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.